TV to recap. Should we start with Summer House?
Yes.
Okay, so where do we leave off with Summer House? It's the 4th of July. The gang is having everyone over for their annual 4th of July party. It looks really fun.
Hmm.
Honestly, every time they have a party at their house, I'm like, "Ugh, I want to go. I don't even drink. I don't party anymore. I don't want to leave my house, but like just seeing them partying and having fun, it just like makes me want to be there. I don't know about you.
Totally. But I do think it is really funny, like what you said earlier about what Paige was saying, how this is the first summer where she just like feels old. Like she's way more concerned with like the fit and looking good, which is how we are. And then there are these like young 25-year-olds who are just like blackout wasted, going down water slides. Like that is so not our era.
No, not at all.
I love how I say our as if like you, me, and Paige are like besties.
Right. No. And like, but like, we just totally understand that mindset. Like, we would never go to a party.
Yes.
Like, we would go to a party like that and like take pictures and like sip on a drink
Right.
casually and like
Right.
talk to people. And Bailey's like buck wild, like head first down the
Yes.
water slide, which like good for her
Yes.
as she should be. She's 25.
Totally.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting
Um,
that Paige said it's the first time she felt old because I'm like, girl, I've been feeling old since I was 27. So good for you that it took you until you were like 32 to feel this way.
Totally. I also think I feel like she said this is the first summer I feel old.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Like she feels really like out of her element. But speaking of feeling old compared with the new cast members, I do want to talk about Lexi and Jesse.
Yes. I really liked Lexi's outfit at the party where she was wearing those like long denim shorts with like the bathing suit thong like hanging out. Did you catch
I don't
that?
even remember.
Honestly, it was just like that cool like Haley Bieber thong look, but like for a pool party.
Okay.
Like she just always
I
looks
have
good.
to
Like she's
see.
hot, she's young.
She's really hot. Yeah.
Okay, tell so let's yeah,
Um
let's Jesse and Lexi update.
okay, so last time we spoke, I actually had said that I have this sneaking suspicion because you were saying and a lot of people were saying like she's definitely the hottest girl he's ever been with. Like she's dated Brooklyn Beckham and I forget who else, some
Kaya
other
Gerber's brother.
right, Kaya Gerber's brother. So like she'll obviously have the upper hand. But I was like young girls like that, like girls that age, if an older guy who's hot is into them, it's kind of like game over. Like I feel like I don't care that you've dated Brooklyn Beckham. She clearly is really into Jesse.
Yeah, 100%.
And I kind of had this feeling that like it would peter out because she would be too into him.
Yeah. It was a classic bait and
And
switch.
right. And I think I'm correct. Because so in this episode, she basically kind of lays it out there like, I don't want to really sleep with you unless I know for sure that we are only seeing each other, which I think is fair. Fine. But it's such an extreme where she's like, she introduced him to her parents.
They've known each other for
I don't
a
know.
week. That was
I
crazy.
think he's getting the creeps.
Yeah, I think he's freaked out for sure because someone asked him like how was your date or he was like good. Like he just like his
Yeah,
enthusiasm like completely depleted.
totally.
Yeah, that is I mean, she like laid it out on the line on that date that they went on. She was just like, I want to make sure that like you're only seeing me and like I'm a girlfriend girl. And he was just immediately I could see like the lights, the flicker behind his
Yes,
eyes like dim. He was just like, oh shit.
totally. He's like, I don't know. I feel like beating cancer last year. He's young. Like, let him go wild.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's like nowhere near ready to settle down.
No,
It's like, why would he want to settle down now? Like, all these girls are probably throwing themselves at him. All the Bravo
totally.
fans, like him and Wes
Totally.
are just like partying it up, like living their best lives. So
I love West.
I know. I'm glad that we didn't get more like Wes and Sierra confrontation. I needed a break.
Just because it's like boring.
It's really boring, right? Because he doesn't speak.
Right. And she doesn't make sense when she speaks.
Right. So we get nowhere. And then,
We
I
get
mean, I feel like
nowhere.
this episode was largely uneventful. The next thing that happened is Kyle's party that he's DJing at, and Paige
Yeah.
shows the text, the rage text that Kyle sent to her to Sierra, and he's basically pissed about what Hannah said on a podcast. Hannah basically insinuated or flat out said that Kyle is the reason she got fired from Summer House. And he's like, that's not true. I don't have the power to fire anyone. But then Paige in her confessionals was like, we all know that's what happened, Kyle. And I 100% believe that. Also, Paige, like, why would she lie about that?
I didn't realize that though.
Yeah, I think, well, he was mad at her because at the time, this is what she said on the podcast. She did like a sponsorship with Truly, and he like went
Oh
ballistic on her
yeah.
because she was supposed to be promoting Loverboy and not like having other like contracts with like other spike seltzer companies.
And they also just like really did not get along that summer. Like she was like mean to
Yeah,
Amanda.
no, that was like her downfall. It was really
Yeah.
bad. And I wouldn't, and Kyle does hold a lot of power. Like he's basically a producer on the show. So
Yeah. I mean, just because he's been there for
if
so
he wanted
long.
Hannah out, I'm sure the producers took that into consideration.
Totally. But I mean, either way, whether that happened or not, the point of this argument was like, why is Kyle texting Paige about things that he's upset that Hannah
Well, that's
did?
part one, and then part two is he's mad that Craig became an investor in Spritz Society, which is like boy with no
Right.
job and girl with no jobs, seltzer company. So again, it's just like that's what Craig did. That's what Hannah did. Like, what does that have to do with Paige?
Right. Clearly he really trusts her and feels like he can confide in her, but there's also this element where because he thinks they're so close, he thinks that he could just like abuse her when he wants because he's not close enough with Hannah or Craig to text them directly. So he's going through Paige, and it's just the Paige is like, I don't want to be involved in this.
Yeah, exactly. And Paige is like, I feel like handles her shit like a grown up. She's like, if you have a problem with Hannah, if you have a problem with Craig, like take it up with them. Like, I'm not getting in the
Totally.
middle of this. I just think she said, I don't know if she said it on this episode or it's like a preview for next week when she was like, you call me and tell me about problems you're having with your wife and like I don't tell your wife. I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is like really messy that Amanda's her
Totally.
best friend, but her Kyle calls her to like talk about their marital problems and then Paige doesn't tell Amanda what Kyle says. Like she's way too involved in their
I
relationship. It's
agree.
really unhealthy.
I wonder how close Amanda and Paige actually are because I don't know. I feel like they might just be really close on Summer House when they're
I
filming.
know. I think it's one of those things like they are genuinely friends and close, but I wonder if they weren't filming this reality TV show, how close they would actually be.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just like they're
Like I feel like Paige's
coworkers.
life is yeah, like Paige's life is so full.
Yeah. Oh my God. The comments about, I've been seeing like such crazy comments about like how Amanda needs to divorce Kyle. And one of them was like, Amanda is so close to realizing that her chronic fatigue and depression is caused by Kyle.
That is so funny. I've always been a big Kyle
I
fan.
know. And we've talked about this. We both um think that he has a good heart. Like he definitely like fucks up
He's
and
just so
immature.
funny.
Um but like I just think that they're like wrong for each other. I mean, clearly maybe I take that back. I just think that like they have a lot of issues that like they still haven't worked through. Like I genuinely still believe that Amanda hasn't forgiven him for when he cheated on her, which is like
Yeah.
then you shouldn't have married him if you can't
I just
forgive.
I agree. I also just feel like he sort of captured her youth. Like she didn't really get to explore anything when she was in her early 20s, mid 20s, and he was already in his like late 30s.
Yeah, it's true.
So he kind of knew what he wanted and she was still figuring it out and was kind of like, you know, captured by him.
Right. I know. And then it's like the fact that they got into business together and then they're on the show together
Right.
and like their lives are so entangled that I just like hope that she doesn't feel trapped and like that she can't leave if she wanted to, which I sometimes get the vibe
Yeah.
that like she kind of doesn't want to be with him but doesn't have the courage to break up with him.
Well, I think like so much of her identity has become wrapped up in who he is, and she doesn't really have her own identity, which I think was kind of like a subplot of last
It
season.
was Sierra and Paige were like, you don't see how amazing you are. Like, you don't see the girl that we
Yeah.
see. I mean, I'm happy that
Yeah.
she has her bathing suit line Like I think
I didn't even know she had a bathing suit
that was
line.
like a subplot last year, and I think we'll find out more like on this season, but like it was always a dream of hers to like design bathing suits, and she has like a partnership with South Moon Under that just came out a few weeks ago. And they were really cute, honestly. I was looking at a few of the bathing suits. Like definitely
Okay.
I think it's great. Like I'm happy that she's starting to like do things outside of Loverboy, outside of Kyle. Like it's just
Yeah.
something that she can own for herself. Like, yes, girl, like use your platform.
Get
You
it.
should be doing this. This
Totally.
is what Paige has been doing for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm also excited for like when Craig comes to the house and we can see like Kyle and Craig hash it out.
Yes, interesting
And like
dynamic.
I was always so team Craig like when it all went down, but now that I like remember that Craig is kind of like a liar and a pussy, and I think that like I'm so team Paige in the breakup, I'm kind of like I don't know, maybe Kyle isn't all wrong here.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you turned me on to Craig. I didn't like him from the first time I met him. I met him for the first time um in this season of Summer House where Lindsay tells Paige that he was hooking up with Kristen.
yes, yeah, yeah.
And I really did not like the way he handled that. He kind of like yelled at Paige and Lindsay, but then he like redeemed himself and I thought he was like cute. But I don't know. I'm
Yeah, that was they
jury's out.
didn't.
I'm really not sure.
And then it like honest I'm so glad you brought that up because I honestly think that Paige, like the part of like the reason she was so excited to be with Craig was kind of like there was this competition between her and Kristen. And it was almost like she won
Mm,
over Kristen Cavallari, which is like, I don't know, like I feel like it made Paige feel like good about herself. Like it was like a power play. I'm like completely speculating. Like this is just
that
me.
is like such a good
And
point.
then like once the thrill of that wore off and she was like, oh no, like he wants
Now I'm stuck with
now I'm
you.
stuck with you and you're kind of annoying and now you want to like move to like be with me and like I don't want to marry you and I don't want to have kids with you and like I'm trying
Totally.
to like be a huge star. Like so
Right.
that's like one of my working theories.
No, I really I appreciate that theory. I think it makes a lot of
And I just
sense.
think that Paige has always had bigger like hopes for herself in terms of who she's going to settle down with. Like she will be with a billionaire. I really do believe that.
Totally.
I think that's what she wants for herself and she'll get it. Reach for the stars, Paige.
No, definitely.
Okay. Well, I think that that ties up Summer House. Emily, this has been so much fun as always. Love
Yes.
recording with you. We'll be back.
Always.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like Middle Part, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube now. You can listen on Spotify and Apple
Yay.
Podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.